Forget the headlines. Discard the glossy highlight reels. The story you think you know about Jonathan Toews, the unwavering captain, the stoic leader, the embodiment of disciplined success. It's a carefully constructed facade, a whisper in the dark, an illusion woven to shroud a far more unsettling truth. We've been told he was merely Captain Serious, a moniker suggesting professionalism, admirable focus, a resolute will to win. But what if Sirius wasn't just a temperament, but a chilling, all-consuming force? What if that unyielding consistency, that relentless pursuit of victory, wasn't born of human ambition, but something far more rigid, more predatorial? We speak of his poise under pressure as a virtue, a testament to an iron will. But imagine a mind so perfectly, terrifyingly calm, it felt less like control and more like the absolute absence of humanity. A cold, calculating engine driving an unquenchable hunger. This wasn't just a hockey player. This was an entity of absolute discipline, a shadow cast across the ice, a haunting presence whose true nature remained locked away, protected by the very trophies he lifted. His every stride, every pass, every defensive recovery felt preordained, less the spontaneous brilliance of an athlete and more the precise execution of a programmed automaton. The legend of Captain Sirius grew, but with it, an eerie question began to linger. What was truly serious about the captain? Was it merely his commitment, or was it something deeper, something that transcended the bounds of normal human endeavor, something that had taken root within him, transforming him into an instrument of relentless, almost inhuman perfection? This wasn't a man who played the game. This was a man possessed by the game, to a degree that became deeply, profoundly unsettling. From the moment he stepped onto the frozen stage of the NHL, a peculiar, almost unnatural aura enveloped Jonathan Toews. It wasn't merely talent. It was an almost preternatural understanding of the game, a grim, methodical focus that set him apart from every other rising star. While others celebrated the raw thrill, the joyous spontaneity of their craft, Toews processed, analyzed, strategized, his mind a labyrinth of probabilities and countermoves. His gaze, often described as intense, held a depth that seemed to peer beyond the immediate play into some unseen dimension of probability and outcome, as if he was always calculating the next 5 steps, the next 10, the game unfolding in his mind like a predetermined script. The trophies, the accolades, they followed him like silent, obedient shadows. A Calder Trophy nomination, a Stanley Cup captaincy at a bewilderingly young age, an almost robotic ascent to the sport's pinnacle. Each triumph seemed less like an achievement born of struggle and more like the inevitable fulfillment of a preordained pact, a chilling certainty that bordered on the supernatural. There was a peculiar, almost disturbing ritual to his perfection, a precise rhythm that underpinned his every move, every decision. He once confessed to meticulously arranging his gear in the exact same order before every single game, a private ritual he believed averted disaster. This wasn't a superstition born of simple hope or a quirky habit, but a calculated, repetitive act of control, a desperate, almost obsessive warding off of chaos that even he, the supposed paragon of order, seemed to fear was always lurking just beyond the boards, waiting to unravel his perfectly constructed reality. The locker room, typically a sanctuary of raw emotion, boisterous camaraderie, and shared vulnerability for most athletes, often felt like a silent, sterile laboratory under Toews' watchful, unblinking eye. His leadership wasn't boisterous or inspiring in the conventional sense, not the impassioned shouts or heartfelt speeches that rallied troops. Instead, it was a gravitational pull, an unspoken, immense expectation that pressed down on every soul, every skate blade, every puck, demanding an unnerving standard of excellence. Dissent, or even a hint of wavering commitment, was not met with anger or frustration, but with a cold, analytical stare that seemed to dissect your very doubts, laying bare your insecurities with clinical precision. His presence didn't just command respect. It demanded not just effort, but a complete, almost terrifying surrender to the collective, a merging of individual will into the single-minded pursuit he so chillingly embodied. Teammates often spoke of an almost impenetrable mental barrier around him, a psychic wall that made direct, emotional connection feel like shouting into a vast, empty void. It wasn't rudeness or aloofness in the common understanding. It was a profound, almost alien detachment, as if his internal world operated on a different frequency, dedicated solely and entirely to the intricate geometry of victory. This was the man who could calm a tempestuous locker room with a single, unblinking glance, whose words, when they finally came, carried the unnerving weight of prophecy. But behind those words, behind that unyielding, almost spectral gaze, was there a flicker of shared humanity, a spark of relatable emotion, or just the cold, unwavering gleam of a perfectly engineered machine calibrating its next inevitable move? On the ice, Toews was less a player and more a phantom of chilling efficiency, everywhere and nowhere at once. He didn't just play the game. He controlled it, a puppeteer pulling invisible strings, dictating the flow, stifling opponents with an almost telepathic defensive awareness that earned him the Zelka Trophy. His stick-checking wasn't just skilled. It was a surgical precision that severed passing lanes before they even fully formed, a preemptive strike against future possibilities. He seemed to exist in a dimension slightly ahead of real time, anticipating, intercepting, suffocating hope from the opposing bench with an unnerving regularity. And in moments of supreme crisis, when the stakes were highest, when lesser mortals buckled under the unbearable weight of expectation and the roar of the crowd, Toews remained a statue of grim resolve, his composure a chilling testament to something beyond human nerves. The 2010 Olympic gold medal game, a moment of unimaginable pressure that would fray the strongest wills, witnessed something truly unnerving. During a crucial penalty kill in the dying minutes, amidst the frantic chaos and the collective gasp of millions, a clandestine heart rate monitor, secretly embedded within his gear, registered an anomaly, a flatline for nearly 17 seconds. Not a malfunction, not a loose wire, but an impossible, eerie stillness in the very heart of the storm. As if, in that moment, the human aspect of Jonathan Toews simply ceased to exist, replaced entirely by pure, unadulterated will, an automaton of victory, immune to the primal fear that gripped the world around him. 3 Stanley Cups, a Conn Smythe, a Zelka Trophy. These weren't mere trophies. They were markers, chilling sigils of a life lived in absolute, unwavering adherence to an unspoken, terrifying code. But the true horror wasn't his success. It was the unbearable cost. The relentless self-mastery, the unnerving consistency, the captain's serious persona wasn't just a mask worn for the cameras, a convenient public face. It was a cage, a gilded prison constructed brick by brick from every expectation, every dream, every championship parade, every silent demand for more. He didn't merely become Captain Serious. He was consumed by it. The man, Jonathan Toews, slowly, irrevocably, faded, absorbed into the legend, into the myth, leaving behind only the cold, hard shell of an archetype. His tireless motor, his unwavering focus, they became less about choice and more about an uncontrollable, internal compulsion, a silent, parasitic entity that fed on his drive. Imagine a silent, gnawing emptiness behind those resolute eyes, a profound void where personal ambition once resided, now filled only with the cold, echoing demand for absolute, unflinching perfection. The weight of his own legend became too much, a spectral burden pressing down, squeezing the last vestiges of individuality from his soul, until all that remained was the chilling embodiment of relentless victory. His recent departure from the game wasn't a retirement in the conventional sense. It was an escape, a desperate attempt to break free from the monstrous entity he had unwittingly created, an entity that demanded his very essence, demanding more, always more, until there was nothing left but the whisper of a name and the ghost of a smile. So, when you recall Jonathan Toews, don't just remember the goals, the assists, the cups, the moments of glory that defined a dynasty. Remember the chilling perfection, the unnatural calm, the gaze that seemed to see beyond the game itself into the very fabric of fate. Remember the terrifying price of that relentless consistency, the silent, spectral force that shaped a legend, twisting human ambition into something else entirely. He was more than a player. He was a phenomenon, a living testament to an almost terrifying level of discipline, a creature of habit driven by unseen forces. But true fear doesn't come from external threats. It comes from within, from the slow, insidious loss of self, from the relentless, suffocating grip of something you cannot control, something that owns you entirely. And the most chilling secret of all, his greatest fear wasn't losing a game, but realizing he was never truly in control of himself.